Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mahwash Ajaz. You're watching me on the Daily Diary with Mahwash on Ocean News UK. Thank you so much for the great feedback on our previous podcast where we discussed a topic which is very close to my heart is that should artists have to be politically correct? We talked about empathy. We talked about bullying. Now, something that we're going to discuss today, and we have a very special guest joining us, is something that affects a lot of women. The topic today that I have chosen to talk about with my guest and with you guys is a topic that is once again very close to my heart because my idea is to talk to you guys about the things which are close to my heart, close to my mind. And I think that these are topics that aren't fully given the due that they deserve. Is women's mental health ignored? When women are gaslighted routinely for other purposes, it's often a neglected aspect that even their physical health is neglected. As somebody who has struggled with PCOS, this is polycystic ovarian syndrome, when I went to doctors, multiple doctors, they treated or dismissed my acne as adult acne. Oh, you need to eat better, you need to exercise more. This is the standard response anybody or general health practitioners tend to give you, that it's adult acne or your weight gain is just explained by, well, you're eating too much, or maybe you just need to eat better, or you need to go to the gym better. Now, I'm somebody who has never been to the gym. I don't go to the gym. I don't like the gym, but I have to go now. I do go now. But as somebody who's generally been a very non-sporty person and somebody who has never ever gained weight in their lives, I mean, I was always that skinny person who would eat very little normal food, but then they wouldn't gain weight. When I started gaining weight and when I started getting a little confused, hey, why is it that my body isn't responding the way it is? And I'm very attuned to my body. I'm paying attention to the little pains I'm getting. I feel tired. I feel fatigued. I feel difficulty getting up in the morning. I have low energy. I have lower back pains. I have sciatica. I have trouble sleeping. Now, all these things, little did I know, are pointing me towards polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is something a female doctor managed to put her finger on. She said, why don't you get a whole hormone panel done? Why don't you get this test done and that test done? And when we figured out that I am suffering with something that is making me irrationally gain weight, I realized that, oh my God, I'm not alone. And then when I started talking to people, other women started telling me similar stories. They started telling me that we are often gaslighted by general health practitioners. We are often gaslighted by specialists, and they are not paying attention to why women gain weight they do the way that they do. And the next step is even worse, by the way. When you go and tell them, okay, then what is the solution to PCOS? They say, oh, take birth control, or take this multivitamin, or try glucophage. Now, these are very typical medicines that they generally give you when they want to treat your polycystic ovarian syndrome. It is still not clear what causes it, how to completely get rid of it, or why is weight gain in women not treated as seriously as it should be. It is an actual real issue. Now, I understand that you shouldn't be body shaming anybody. You shouldn't be asking somebody to lose weight because you don't know what they're going through. Now, these are social commentaries and these are kind of social faux pas that we need to be really careful of. But when it comes to a general health practitioner, when it comes to a specialist, let's say your gynecologist, she should not be dismissing your concerns about gaining weight or losing weight. Either of these two things are a problem. Remember, whenever something in your body is happening irrationally, which you cannot explain, push to your medical practitioner, push them to treat you better. Now, these physical ailments are just, I'm just talking about one physical ailment, and that too I'm talking about because I went through it myself. You as a woman or as a man, if you are somebody who is taking care of a woman, your wife, could be your daughters, could be your mom, you need to also really fight for the voices that these women are giving you. Because when we kind of mute a woman's voice, when we don't pay enough attention to what she's saying, when we gaslight her into thinking that, oh, you know what, you just need to, like, just not eat enough. You just need to go to the gym. I was not somebody who was eating a lot. I wasn't somebody who was particularly very, very sedentary, but I still managed to gain weight because I was in a lot of stress because I'm a special needs mom. There are different reasons for different women who are going through different things. And that is why it's important that whenever something is out of balance in your life, in your body, you need to speak to a general health practitioner and you need to push. You need to be pushy. I know it sounds bad. And I know as women, it's like double jeopardy. You're feeling something, you go to somebody to complain about it, and the other person gaslights you, and you have to fight. And we are always, as women, taught to be subdued. Don't raise your voice. Don't talk back. Don't say this. Don't do that. Don't be a nuisance. Don't be that girl. And then we end up just harming ourselves. So that's why I feel that there are two things which we are going to talk about today. Number one, obviously, which I talked about with you guys, is that how our physical health is often ignored. It's not paid attention to. Women's physical health is just not a priority, even in medicine. So there are like a bunch of memes about this also. That if you go to you read a study about what's happening in the ovaries or what's happening in the female body, you have some study which was done years and years ago. It was probably done on some rat, or the rat was possibly male. So yeah, I know it sounds ridiculous, but the memes are true. There is truth to all those jokes. And there are so many women-specific issues. Like, for example, you must have seen those videos where where men are testing what it feels like to have cramps that women have. And yeah, those cramps can be really, really bad, especially if you have those reproductive health issues. Those cramps can be as bad as having a heart attack. And imagine that our medical sciences have not done enough research, enough work into creating those studies and those answers for women so that they can live better. On the flip side, actually not on the flip side, but on the same side, there is also another very, very huge issue. It's women's mental health. In Pakistani societies or even South Asian societies, I'm talking about India, I'm talking about Sri Lanka, I'm talking about Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, a lot of these countries which have societies which do have certain patriarchal norms, especially in the areas or in the communities which are not as educated or not as socioeconomically powerful. In these communities, a lot of archaic rules are followed, and mental health continues to be a stigma. We will talk more about this when my guest joins, but then for the time being, I do want you guys to think about it. This is food for thought, and I do want you guys to write to Ocean News and tell us what your experiences have been, especially if you're a woman. Women's mental health is also woefully ignored when a woman is going through depression, if she has a mood disorder, or if she has any other kind of disorder. She is also often gaslighted, written off. Sorry, this is something that, you should probably, take a Panadol. Believe me, I've heard that too. Oh, you're just going through a phase. In general, mental health has such a heavy taboo. It has such a stigma. So in general, even for men, speaking up about their issues is really difficult. And we are going to talk about how men's mental health is also another huge Pandora's box that our society refuses to open. We're definitely going to do a special show on that. But today, specifically, I want to talk about how women's mental health, when they grieve, when they go through postpartum, when they are shifting into a new era of life, what happens? We are living in a globalized world. I'm also someone who had to leave their friends, their family, their community, leave the country, live alone with the person that I married, and then deal with those challenges completely alone, completely on my own. The toll that something like that takes on your mental health. Who talks about that? Nobody's talking about it. Nobody is talking about what it means for a woman to leave her entire home, her entire friends, her community, everything that she holds near and dear since the day she was born till, whatever age that she got married in, and then move into a separate house. What does that do to your mental health? And what do you need to support her during those times? Because, in those situations, the mental health challenges get more and more and more. The same pressure is not on men. The man does have to adjust with a new person in their life, but he's still in that house that he has grown up in. He is still living with his parents, or not. Even if he's living independently, maybe he's used to living alone independently. The challenge that women go through while in that phase, and marriage, by the way, is a huge stressor. I don't know if our parents are telling our children that. Similarly, when a woman becomes a mom, when she becomes a mom for the second time, or if there are challenges with her children, who is really paying attention to how women are coping with this grief or trauma? It's very important, first of all, to have community, to have your loved and dear ones nearby you. It's very important for you. And I'm saying this purely as a psychologist. I mean, I probably should have been smarter, but none of us are smarter when we're at that age, right? And we're too busy trying to cope with everything. So how would we know? it's upon our elders and it's upon those who are, who have been through those phases to help us, take care of us. And it's very important to constantly try and remember that if it's too much for you, you have to go and seek help. Speaking to a therapist, it's not it should not be a stigma anymore. We should have counselors in our colleges, in our schools, in nearby where we live, and we should be speaking to these counselors. So I hope that this is something that can resonate with everyone watching. I hope that you can understand what I'm trying to say. If you are somebody who's supporting a woman, whether she's your wife, whether she's your mom, we know that even aging has its own challenges. You're dealing with the very idea that life may soon be over, and you're watching life, your physical health or maybe your mental health deteriorate as well. So how can we stay on the positive side of things? How can we improve the lives of those around us and our own as well? We will be talking more about it, and we will be talking to somebody who has written a book about this particular issue, how women are dealing with grief. We talk about one specific issue, but I do want to hear your thoughts. So stay tuned to the Daily Diary with Mahwash, and we'll be right back talking about this very important topic. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Daily Diary with Mahwash Ajaz. You're watching me on Ocean News UK, and we've picked a topic, right, we were talking about before the break, is that women's mental health is often ignored. Women's physical health is often ignored. To talk with me about this subject today, I've invited Saira Sheikh, who's an author, and she's written about grief. She's talked extensively about it. And the reason why I wanted her to talk about this topic in particular is that women's mental health, especially when it comes to grief, isn't really talked about. And in general, writing about a topic like this, especially as a woman, what were her challenges and what was her journey like, and why it's important to have topics like these discussed in literature. Thank you so much for joining us on the show, Saira. How are you?
Thank you very much, Mahwash, for having me. I'm doing great. I hope the same for you.
Thank you so much. So, Saira, start off with grief. It's a very overlooked emotion, especially in societies where it's a collectivist society in Pakistan and in India, the South Asian societies, and even a lot of European societies are very family oriented. There's a lot of pressure from our seniors to kind of, shove the emotion under the carpet. Let's not talk about it. Oh, you're crying all the time. That's not okay. Or if somebody is going through actually something much serious like depression or something, then that again becomes a whole other ball game. So tell me about what made you choose to talk about grief, and when you tell people or when you discuss grief, do you feel their insides churl, and what are the challenges in talking about a topic like that?
So, Maris, the thing is that when I started writing about the grief process that I was going through, it was a very personal experience. And to be honest,
Mhm.
I never had the insights about this before. Although you go around seeing people having so many losses in life, you do console, you go and support them in any way possible. But the reality actually is when it comes and hits you, that's when you actually feel it. And this is
Mhm.
about the thing that when I went through this process, I realized what were the wrong expectations the society had on women, what were the
Right.
expectations the family had on us, how we were nurtured in a culture where silence was the way to be, where it
Mm.
was said that endurance is all about enduring pain and having that honor of
Mm.
not talking about it or
Or
not
endurance
even.
is kind of like rewarded, as the more trauma
Absolutely.
you can absorb, the better person you are. Yeah.
It's glorified. It is a sign of strength. People say you can endure things, you're resilient, and all those things that you hear around. But unfortunately, the thing is that when I was going through this thing, I wanted an outlet because from the
Mm.
inside, even though people said things like, time is going to heal you, and you need to be patient, you need to connect with your faith, all of those things were correct, but they just seemed inadequate. They seemed hollow to me. I
Mm.
wanted a place where I could actually sit down with my grief and I can talk about
Mm.
it openly without shame, without being judged, without being said that, oh, we think that you're weak, rather than saying
Mm.
that we find you vulnerable. So
Mhm.
these were the moments where I resorted to writing, and writing became like a lifeline to me. It was
Mm.
my space. It was my space where I could express whatever I wanted to. It was my
Mm.
space where I learned and looked at my relationships from far, because I could see how I'm a mother of two. I have a family, I have a husband, I've got in laws, I've got my immediate family, I've got my siblings. We were going through grief, but each
Mm.
one of us was going through it so differently. And this is what I observed. How I was grieving was completely different from what they were grieving like. And like I
Mm.
said, that even if loss is similar, my siblings
Mm.
obviously were going through the similar loss. We lost a
Mm.
mother, but the
Mm.
way we were grieving and the way we were processing was completely
Mm.
different. So
Yeah.
it was very important to validate and to
Mm.
tell people that there is no shame if you are grieving in a different way, first of all. And we
Mm.
all have our outlets. Finding
Mm.
that outlet is so important for emotional regulation. Because if
Mm.
you're going to suppress your emotions, obviously your mental health is being affected, your physical health is, your emotional intimacy with your family is being affected, how you're
Yeah.
dealing with your children is being affected, how you are becoming a role model for your children is also being affected. So I think
Mm.
this is very much ignored, and there are various reasons for this, for
Mm.
especially for women. If I have to, in my opinion, if I would have to categorize this, I would say biologically, if we see the way we have been built by nature, we are nurturers, we are
Being woman
caregivers.
is pain. Being woman is
Yes,
pain. Yeah.
it is
Absolutely.
something that we are psychologically wired in a way that we are caregivers. We need to put the
Mm.
other interests forward first, and our interests and our well-being later on. So I
Yeah.
think that is also a factor which is a big hindrance when it comes to women to openly come and seek help, or to even
Yeah.
acknowledge the fact that they need help,
Yeah.
because it is something that it is innate that no, we are caregivers, so let's just keep on going and be in silence and just keep giving and giving. Then
Mm.
obviously, as women, a lot of times this thing is neglected, Mavish, that as females we have hormones that have a lot of effect on our emotional regulation. And this is
Mm.
why majority of the time people dismiss our emotions. They say, oh, this is overreaction, oh, she's being over dramatic,
No,
oh,
even the
she's,
fact that we are told that, oh, you're being hormonal. So why is
yes,
that a
exactly.
bad thing? And why is that
i
a dirty word? Exactly.
I did not want to say this, but this is actually something they say, that, oh, you must be on your hormones. But what we're
Yeah.
trying to say is, when you hear these things and you're disregarded and you are dismissed, then obviously that hesitation comes for women. We don't openly talk
Yeah.
about it. And then
Yeah.
the cultural conditioning is shame, it is
Mm.
dishonor. Talking about your personal things is going to bring dishonor to your family, or you're bringing shame
Mm.
to your family. So you're just
Yeah.
hesitant. And not
Yeah.
just for married women, even for the ones who
All
are not
women.
married,
All
all
women.
women,
Or
all
senior
women.
women, younger women, little girls, everything. But Sarah,
Absolutely.
tangent, it's a bit of a tangent, but I do want to talk about how there are certain things which older women did, or maybe the world has changed in a way that those kind of older practices aren't there anymore. So, like the isolation is kind of increasing. And with stigma and isolation, it's a deadly combo. Like, for example, when women gave birth, when they gave birth, they had communities, they had women, older women who would take care of the woman. She would have time to breathe. Now, thanks to capitalism, where everybody has to go back to the job 30 days, 60 days, 90 days in, and then you have that pressure of having to deal with these kind of modern issues as well. You have work to go to, you have things to take care of at home. If you're an expat, things get immediately 10 times more pressurized. So what I do want to ask you is that, do you feel, as somebody who's written deeply about this topic, when it comes to major stressors like having children, giving birth, losing someone, gaining a family, marriage, was it better in the older days? Because in the older days we didn't have these kind of problems where there was immense isolation. Do you feel like there were things that were placed better? You had a village when it came to raising children. Now women they are alone many many times, and we don't talk about it enough. What's your take?
Marish, I think it's a very personal thing. What I would
Hmm.
say is, everyone has a choice. You can
Hmm.
still make your villages. You can have amazing support systems if you wish and if you choose to do that deliberately and consciously. Now, the
Okay.
issue is that we are being pulled in so many directions. We need perfection. We need
Hmm.
vanity. We need validation in the world of today. Back in the
Yeah.
days, these things were not too important. Validation was not too important. You didn't have
Hmm.
to fit into every box. You did not have to compete. Wow, you didn't have to compete in 10 different races and aim of being the number one in everything. There's a lot of
Mm.
burnout that we see today in that perfection. And obviously,
Yeah.
social media, AI,
And trying to
everyone
just
has
live
contributed.
That Instagram life. Everybody
That
wants to
picture
live that
perfect
life.
thing. Yes, people do not share the struggles, people do not share the tears. All they want to market and all they want to show is the perfection in their life, which is so untrue. And in
Mm.
doing so, everyone has that vision. They see it through this lens and they aspire to be like them rather
Mm.
than having their own comfort, choosing
Yeah.
the right people, investing on yourself, investing on your own well-being, prioritizing your health, creating healthy boundaries is a very
Mm.
personal choice.
Yeah.
People still tend to do this even in today's time. If you
Mm.
prioritize your things, keeping in mind that you need to prioritize your well-being and then you make those rest of the choices, I think you can still have that village around you.
So Saira, when we as and you're an expat too, I believe, yes?
Yes.
So, Saira, what would you say to younger moms? Because there's a lot of stuff that I learned along the way, and I wish somebody had told me that when I was just in that phase that I have to pack up my bags and move to a different country. What would you say to moms or even young women who are probably preparing for that phase? What would you say to them so that they can prioritize their mental health and also obviously their physical health?
I think being open minded is very important, Mavish. When you're moving into a new society, when you're moving around new people, the
Mm,
adaptability, the
mm,
openness of mind,
mm,
you should not be
mm.
stuck up because there will be cultural shocks, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
When you go and
yeah,
move into different places, there will be things that you will have to adapt. But that
yeah.
adaptability and that openness is really important. And
Mm,
open communication, it is really important that you are open to communication and you're open to different ideas. Don't be stuck up in your old ways. Don't be stuck up with your own, in your own self. Just
mm.
being open and being accepting of other ideas and other
Differences.
people. Yes, the
Differences.
adaptability is very important. Keep that mind open. Do not always say that back home, this is how things happen, so I'm not going to change.
Yeah.
And back home, this is how things happen, I'm not going to change. No, you
Yeah.
have to. And there are two
Yeah.
extremes, Ramesh. Unfortunately, some people go to a complete different extreme. They forget their roots, they forget who they are.
Yeah.
This is also
Yeah.
very
Identity
important.
crisis ho jata hai. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you need to
Yeah.
keep a good balance. And that is where your
Mm.
mental health plays a role as well. Because if you're going to fight into that, getting into that fit kind of a mode that I need to fit into this and I want to fit into that, you need to
Mm.
find your balance. You need to find
Mm.
harmony in things and even in differences. So that's
Mm.
very important that be open, be flexible, be adaptable, and just diffuse things when you feel that they are not being positive in your life. Try to diffuse
Mm.
them.
Hmm. What are the kind of challenges that women face, in your opinion, again, as somebody who's delved deep into the process, that when you mentioned something earlier about we don't want people to cry too much, we want to be quick to console them. And, when obviously there's a tendency in everybody's nature that I need to stop this disaster. If this person is going through tragedy, if this person is going through pain, how can I fix this? Sometimes grief is just not fixable. You just have to live with it, give it its time.
Absolutely.
What are the major challenges when you have a message like this to tell people that, look, I'm sad right now. I am going to cry. I am going to sit with my grief because I know that the tendency when you must have been going through that process or when you must have seen other women go through the same process, they must be also under the pressure that, no, 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 it's enough. You've cried enough. Now it's time to get back to life. Now it's time to get back to routine. Pick yourself up, go do this, go do that, go watch a movie. And sometimes you're like, no, I don't want to go watch a movie. I just want to sit and I want to think about this and I want to process this.
Absolutely. See, grief has no timeline. There is no
Yeah,
expiry date. There is no finish
yeah,
line that you cross that line and you feel, oh, I have done my grieving and I'm in a good space.
yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah,
it
I've
is a
graduated.
it is something, it's an ongoing process that you're going to live with for the rest of your life. Now, how
Hmm.
are you going to go along fixing yourself and being strong enough to take things hand in hand? People are going to be supportive. Yes, they are supportive in like the way you said. Sometimes their support is not the kind of support that you're looking for.
And
This
it's
is
coming from a good
why
place.
It's
they're
coming
not
from a good
necessarily
intent.
evil.
It's
Yeah,
come
yeah.
absolutely. It's coming not from a malicious place. It's coming from a good intent. It's coming from a good heart. The
Yeah,
problem
yeah.
only is you need to be honest with yourself. The self inner
Yeah.
reflection and the self reflection is extremely important. If you need help, what kind of help you're looking for? What
Mm,
is it that is the kind of you need help in logistics? You need help in
mm,
mental health. You need help in your physical problems. You need help with your household, maybe you need to express that. It is so important because the thing
mm.
is, without a support system, Avish, this is not possible.
Yeah.
Healing yourself through grief is not a sole thing. It is something
Mm.
that has many aspects that you need to look at. You need to look at
Yeah.
physical, you need to look at mental, you need to look at spiritual, and most importantly, even if a woman does come to a decision. First of all, it's a big courageous thing to come to a decision for a woman to go and
Mm.
professionally seek help if she needs one. It's
Yeah.
a big step
Yeah.
in itself. And
Yeah.
with
Absolutely.
that, if I give you an example now, if you do come to a decision, the next thing is, yes, I need professional help. Now,
Mm.
unfortunately, she needs permissions. She needs a permission from maybe her father, maybe she needs permission from her husband, maybe she needs permission from somebody else. That now, since I'm seeking professional help, I need that support. Now,
Mm.
if you come to that point that yes, she has started taking professional support, she needs finances. Either she needs to be financially independent or she needs a father or a husband to support her. So
To
at
pay for
every
those,
step of
yeah, for
for the
therapy or
therapy,
all those
therapy
things.
is not
Yeah.
easy and it's not a one
No.
thing and it's not a one session thing. People take
Yeah.
weeks, months, maybe years to come to a point where therapy becomes their lifeline and they're very dependent
Yeah.
on it. So it's not
Yeah.
an easy thing. You need finances to support it. So the support
Absolutely.
system is really important.
No, and you've made very valid points. I do want to talk about why therapy is looked down upon in Pakistan. What is your take? Because what happens, and not just Pakistan, we're actually looking at it from a global perspective, not just in South Asia, but across the world as well, where therapy is like, oh, I'm not crazy. I don't need to see a psychologist. I don't
Absolutely.
need to see a psychiatrist. Oh, you're on medication. Oh my God, you must be absolutely, straight out of the cuckoo's nest. Uh, is there anything that we can do? I mean, we're doing our part by speaking about it. And you've mentioned something very important, that somebody who has taken that step is already skipped, like not skipped, but like stepped on a huge, huge milestone to move ahead in that journey. Sometimes you cannot come to that step because you have 20
Absolutely.
people telling you, oh, we're gonna send you to an asylum or something. What is
Hmm.
that doctor going to do? All she does is talk to you. Tell our audiences and use this platform to educate people about the importance of the talking cure, or like you said, like do something, write it out, express yourself, because there's no point in bottling it up.
I'll give you my own example, Mavish. So I remember the exact moment when I made the decision that I think something needs to be fixed and I need
Yeah.
professional help.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
remember, I'm talking about my husband. He is very well educated, comes from a very
Yeah.
open-minded
Hmm.
family. I went and I said, you know what? I need therapy. It just seems like I need help. And his
Hmm.
question was, why? What happened?
Why
So
would-
this is someone who has been living with me,
and he
who
loves you,
knows about
obviously. Yes.
who knows
Yes.
about my loss, who knows about
Yeah.
my emotional state.
Yeah.
The issue is it's the misconception people have. They believe
Hmm.
that therapy is just talking to a person. He said, you have
Yeah.
friends, you have your family, you have your sister, you have everybody. Yes, I have everybody, but are they giving me the emotional support, the emotional tools, the emotional
Yeah.
capability, the emotional maturity? Are they giving me that? It is
Yeah.
very unfair to even expect, Mavish, that if somebody is coming home after a 9 to 10 hours job, you sit down and you sit and you think that that person is going to be your therapist. It is an unfair
No.
expectation from my side
No.
too.
Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
is very important that try to understand that therapy is a support tool. It is not something that you do when you're broken down and it has come to a place where there is no return. Therapy basically is for breakthroughs. It is something that's going
Hmm.
to give you a complete new vision
It's
by
for
not giving.
insight. Yeah. And
It's
it's
for
not a
insight, for
replacement for
self.
your relationships.
It is self-reflection. The
Yeah.
major problem is, Mavesh, that when we talk about mental health, this field is so vast. We have amazing professionals, we have therapists, we have counselors, we have support
Hmm.
groups, we have
Yeah.
psychiatrists, we have clinical psychologists, we have psychotherapists, we have it's a vast field. Now, how many people actually know the difference of all these professionals?
Yeah.
When
Exactly.
we say that we are playing the role of awareness, please
Mm.
try to make people aware what are the roles of these people. Because if you walk into an institution or if you make a call to somebody, I need help, it's not that one therapist is going to resolve all your issues. That
Yeah,
person has to be properly diagnosed. What is the diagnosis of that person, and who is the expert who can deal with that person? Therapy is
absolutely.
very broad, and everyone, they are experts in knowing how specific emotions need to be dealt with. It's a not one fit
Absolutely.
solution. And people who are out there, I can sit down and say I have a 30-day kit with me and I can heal you.
Mm.
No, it is
Nobody
not
can
something
do
that,
that.
it is a very
That is,
personalized.
oh, that is such a red flag. We'll
Yes,
definitely talk about this when we come back from the break. These are
sure.
the red flags to avoid, and these are
Absolutely.
the ways and kind of steps to go about it. Stay tuned to Daily Diary with Mahwash Ajaz. I have Saira Sheikh, the author, with me, and she's talked about grief in her book. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Daily Diary with Mahwash Ajaz. I'm joined by with Saira Sheikh, who's an author, and she's talking about mental health. She's talking about the process of grief and loss. Saira, we also need to touch upon the very big elephant in the room, and it's called depression. We need to talk about what's grief, what's depression, what's sadness, and we need to help people differentiate it. As somebody who went through that, and as somebody who's delved in deeply about this, tell the audiences where was that point, or when, like you said before the break, you were mentioning that there was a point where it just hit you that now I need help, I need professional help, I cannot be dealing with this on my own. A lot of times people dismiss it. A lot of times people don't understand that depression is biological, and I keep saying this wherever I get a platform. I always talk about depression is biological. So when you started that process, I'm sure that must have taught you that, oh, you know what, this wasn't like some normal sadness that I was going through. This was serious. It needed help. Based on your experiences and based on your understanding, help educate our audiences about the differences and the process that depression needs to be, healed and treated.
So, grief comes from a word which actually is taken from a Latin word, and the literal meaning of that word is heaviness. So, when we
Mm,
say heavy, it means that there is something which is inside you which has a lot of weight.
yeah.
Now, to lighten that weight, the thing is, what about grief? Like I said, it is so different from people. It is
Mm,
from person to person, it varies. And we
mm,
as humans are so capable of functioning properly, doing our professional jobs, running our households, doing
yeah.
everything while we
Mm,
are going through grief. And which is why, unfortunately, it is not something that can be picked up or identified very easily. The
mm,
first person to identify that you're going through something and you need help is yourself. Now,
yeah.
it is very apparent. It is just that we are trying to ignore it is a different thing. But when
Yeah.
you are unable to put yourself to sleep properly, when you're in a constant state of being anxious, when
Mm,
you are forgetting taking your meals, when you are not prioritizing anything in life, it's just going on autopilot. These
mm,
are the things that you need to look at. How are they affecting you? Because in a phase of grief, like I said, some people are just going to disconnect. Some people are going to shut
mm,
down. Some people
mm,
don't. They will be
mm,
running perfect lives. They will be running
mm,
perfect relationships, but deep within inside, because they've been suppressing it for so
mm.
long, it comes at a very later stage. And this is
And then
which
when
is
something big happens, I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off. I'm just saying that when something big happens, people say, oh, but we didn't know what he was going or she was going through all that.
yeah, yeah. And this is why you need to be honest with yourself. When we
Mm,
talk about resilience, we talk about endurance and everything, it comes at that cost. It comes at the cost
yeah.
of being dishonest with your emotions. When
Yeah.
you need help and when you are actually at a point when you realize you need help, you're just being honest with yourself. And that honesty, that acknowledgement, and that acceptance is the first thing. And going through depression and being diagnosed, because of that thing that you're going through, needs a proper channel to fix that. Do not say time is going to heal everything. No, time is
Mm,
an opportunity. I would like to educate people. If somebody please gives you this advice that time is going to heal everything, I'm sorry, it does not heal. It gives you an opportunity, it brings you an opportunity for you to heal with conscious steps. And this is what I write in my book, that please don't wait for some miracle to happen. Take
mm,
the conscious steps, identify and make that conscious effort to come to
Hmm.
a point where you realize that you need help. And
Yeah.
in this field, when I say the reason why people are reluctant is also, Mavish, that in our region, I will speak about
Hmm.
our region. When I am
Hmm.
talking about our region, there is a legitimate healthcare need for mental health.
Oh my
Our
God, yes.
institution, it is a legitimate need because our young generation, our older people, our young, even people going through our age are going through a
Yeah.
midlife crisis. There is so much
Yeah.
pressure on them. You need to have legitimate ones. There has to be credibility, trust, and honesty. The professionals who are working in that field need to be proper, credible people. They are
Hmm.
going to strip you down to your rawest form. You will be talking about the most intimate and the most raw things about your life with them. People
Hmm.
need that sense of security. They need that sense that where I'm going is a safe place where I will be honored and respected, rather than later on being manipulated or being blackmailed or being, that is
Oh
a
my God,
big, big.
that's such a legitimate problem, because what's happening now is that sometimes, there's demand and supply rule in economics, which we all have studied. But sometimes what has happened sometimes what happens is that we have the supply, but the supply does not have quality. So therefore, the demand gets affected. People, when they send their children to psychologists, and the psychologist may not be the best psychologist, or the psychiatrist may not be the best psychiatrist, it kind of puts mental health or the awareness around mental health 10 years back. Because then parents are like, oh, well, now this is a self-fulfilling prophecy. We told you this is all, a hack, and we don't want
It's a
to.
box. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yes,
a
yes.
hoax, and we don't want our kids going to any psychologist. And then that story goes around, and every parent starts telling that tale as a
The
cautionary tale.
person, unfortunately, the person who is going through therapy is coming out of it in a much more worse place, in
Yeah,
a much more
absolutely.
worse
And
condition.
this is another point for us to mention, that when we have practitioners who are mental health practitioners, how careful they need to be. Please tell the world, what is the way to go? How do you make sure that the person that you're speaking to, what are we were talking about red flags before we went for the break. What are the red flags that you need to be mindful of, with, let's say, when you're talking to a therapist or you're going to a clinic? And also talk about what are the avenues that you chose when you decided to seek help. Did you speak to a psychologist, a psychiatrist, and how did it help you? How did it heal you?
So the way that we need to actually fix this thing is, Mom, is that first of all, when you talk about red flags, yes,
Yeah.
these quick
Yeah.
fixes are not going to happen. Please, anyone who's
Mm.
given to a quick fix is there just making money, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Secondly, the
Yeah.
other
So
thing
true.
is, yes, the other thing is that when you go and you reach out to them, the first
Mm.
thing is, please, if somebody is not doing a proper diagnosis, if somebody
Mm.
is not vetting you properly, and they come to a conclusion to the very first time that I think you need to do this and you need to go, no, it takes sessions. They need to
Yes.
first go
Time.
and please, if somebody, it is time, effort. Whenever you walk in, you need to walk in with complete honesty. You cannot give a half-cooked stories. You cannot
Yeah.
withhold information. If
Yeah.
you are not comfortable with that person, and if you feel that that comfort is not there, please walk out. There is an
Mm.
instinct that you can actually feel when you walk into these places and you feel that this person cannot help you, or you feel, if you have
Or you
that
feel
feeling,
discomfort, any
listen,
kind of
listen.
discomfort. Yeah.
So what I was saying was that when we reach out to these institutions or these centers, it is really important to understand that you are entering a space where you're going to build a long-term relationship. It's a bond that you're going to create with your therapist. It's a place where you are going to pour your heart out. So it is very
Mm.
essential that you, if you do not feel that this person or this space is the right place, please walk out. You will have a natural instinct. You will have that gut feeling that this is going to work or this is not going to work. And that is a very important thing, because if you are not comfortable the very first time, it is really hard that you will be comfortable opening any way forward. So that
Mm.
is one thing which is really important. And secondly, the thing was that when I started off, Mahesh, I started off with support groups.
Mm.
I started my journey because I was obviously, again, very reluctant going to person who was going to be a complete stranger and going and speaking about such intimate things about my family, my emotions, and my feelings. It's not an
Mm.
easy step. So
Not.
when I started with support groups. And to be
Yeah.
very honest with you, I went to a very renowned place, and it was
Mm.
here in the UAE. I went and I took some support group sessions. And to be very honest, I came home being more overwhelmed than I was when I entered. And the reason being
Mm.
is I was not ready to listen to other people's grief.
Yeah.
I was not
Yeah.
in a place or a position to put myself into more trauma and
Mm.
trying to see what it is like on to be the other
It
side.
wasn't cathartic for you. Hmm.
It was not. It was actually because I was trying to process my own stuff. I came home feeling more heavier and more overwhelmed with those feelings of others because my mind constantly started thinking, oh, what have they gone through? Or what must have made
Yeah.
them?
Yeah. That
So that
added to
was
your
something.
experience. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
like I said, there is no hard, fast solution for this. It is what
Yeah.
fits your needs, what suits you, what you are comfortable with. And
Yeah.
even with therapy, please do not, if one therapist is disappointing you or if you do not feel comfortable,
You can
please do not go
always
out.
go to someone else. No,
You
absolutely,
can
Saira.
always go to
This
someone
is,
else.
yeah, this is absolutely spot on that you have to pay attention to your own voice. Wrapping up, we're short on time. I do want you to talk a little bit. Just close your message with a message of hope and healing, because we've talked a lot about depression, but we need to also tell people that there is a light at the end of the tunnel and you can fight back. Yes, there are bigger monsters, and yes, these are monsters which we don't recognize as monsters, which is the real problem here. But now that you've recognized it, now that you know that you have to fight this monolith or this thing, you can have the tools. So from what I can understand, you have healed, you're in a better place. And I'm sure with when you've shared your story with other people, you must also meet people who've come out of this stronger, or who've come out of this with some level of healing. So tell your story of healing and give a message of hope to the people who are struggling with this or more.
Right. What I would like to say is, Mavish, that when I speak about my journey, I name it as a journey from grief to gratitude. And now,
Mm,
why I say this, and what the misconception people have is forgetting grief and moving
mm,
on. You don't have to
yeah.
forget grief, you don't have to move on. You
Mm,
have to carry that grief and you have to move forward with it and look
yeah.
at it as a source of opportunity because the pain is going to come with purpose. If you look at it,
Mm,
if you look at those things through that lens, you will try to see what were the great opportunities you had even before that loss. And after
mm,
you have learned through that loss, you are going to be never the same person after you've gone through loss. You will
mm.
always be a different person. You can never be the same one. If people say that after 10 years or 15 years, I'm still the same, unfortunately,
No,
then you
that's
have not
not true.
progressed.
Not
That means you
possible.
have not
You're
progressed.
just
Then
lying to
unfortunately,
yourself. Yeah, you're just
yes.
lying to yourself.
So
Yeah.
it's very important to look at it in a positive way, and there is always light at the end of the tunnel, but it is a very holistic approach. Please
Mm,
do not resort on one thing and leave the rest behind. It is something that you need to work on your physical aspect, your mental aspect, and your spiritual aspect. And please,
yeah.
people who say that just resort on one thing, unfortunately, that's not how you need to have balance in life. This is what our religion has also taught us. This is how we as humans are expected to be in a very balanced way. Nobody is going to say, go and spend 24 hours in the gym or go and spend 24 hours in the mosque and you'll be fixed. No, that doesn't happen that way. There is a complete balance of all of these aspects that you have to carry on with. And with the strong faith that, yes, there is something out there who is waiting or it is waiting out there. Unless and until you put those walls down, you won't be ever be able to see it. So please heal yourself, seek professional help if required. Therapeutic ways do not only come in therapy offices, it comes through friends and families and strong bonds
Yeah,
and networks
absolutely.
and support systems. So please resort to those. Do not just only rely on yourself. There are 100 activities which can be an outlet. Writing became mine, creating stuff and building yourself, building a community. That is something which is going to make your weight lighter and it is going to make your path to healing smooth.
That's such a lovely thought, from grief to gratitude. Saira, thank you so much for joining me on the program, talking about grief, talking about healing. It's very important, guys, to take stock of what she has said. She's talked about taking help, taking that first step. If you've taken that first step, please know that you are on a very powerful journey and there is light at the end of the tunnel. If you haven't, find the courage and talk to people who are probably going through what you're going through. Remember that, like Saira said, anybody who's giving you a one size fits all solution is absolutely deluding you into a reality that absolutely does not exist. Grief or any other psychological issue or trauma deserves healing. You deserve a better life. And when we say that we want to be good Muslims, or we want to be good humans, or whatever religion you are from, and you want to be good at that, it means that you want to spread peace and you want to be a source of peace. And you cannot be a source of peace to other people if you are not at peace within. So to find that peace within, you have to seek help. You have to sort of unclog the pores, and you have to kind of unwind the threads that are jumbled up inside you. And I hope that all of you who have watched our show today can take that first step if that is indeed something that you're going through. Thanking you, Saira, once again. Guys, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe on Ocean News social media. Stay tuned to Ocean News UK. This was Mahwash Ajaz. I'm now signing off with the Daily Diary with Mahwash, and I hope to catch you guys real soon with new topics that will make you think and ponder and take positive steps in your life.